Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, the Federal Executive Council, I had the opportunity to brief Council on the National Bureau of Statistics recently published fourth quarter GDP report estimates, which measure the economic growth of our country. Nigeria's GDP in the fourth quarter of 2020 grew by 0.11%, and in real terms in the fourth quarter of 2020. This follows, if you recall, two consecutive negative growth in the third quarter and the second quarter of 2020, which saw us as a country going into recession. So as a result of this fourth quarter positive growth, the total growth for the year 2020 is minus 1.92%. Recall that we had ourselves reported that we will be going into a negative growth at the end of 2020 at minus 4%, and some of the international development institutions reported a much higher negative growth for Nigeria. So at minus 1.92%, it is a very good performance. But also, the good story for us is that with this positive growth in the fourth quarter, it means Nigeria has exited recession. This is one of the shortest-lived recessions we have witnessed in the country, despite the impact of the COVID-19. But I must say that the result of this exit is as a result of the fiscal policies, the monetary policies, and the economic sustainability plan that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has been implementing. So out of the 46 sectors of the economy, 17 out of the 46 recorded positive growth. And this is higher than the number of sectors that recorded positive growth in the third quarter. In real terms, the growth between the third quarter and the fourth quarter is a positive growth of 3.73%. A movement within one quarter we have never witnessed in this country. So we're growing from one quarter to another by 3.73%. That also, the movement from the second quarter to the third quarter also witnessed a growth of 2.48% is an indication that the policies that are being implemented are the right ones, and the trajectory is a positive one, and that Nigeria is well on its way of restoring a consistent and stable growth, a growth that we hope to grow to be a strong growth from the fragile growth that we now have at 0.11%. So this is a good performance. But on a broad sectoral basis, the agricultural sector posted a strong growth of 3.42% during the last quarter. And when you compare it to the previous quarter, it's a much better performance. Similarly, services sector also grew. So also did industry. Other sectors that witnessed slowdown in growth, I beg your pardon, includes industry, crude petroleum, and natural gas sectors. The decline in oil production and prices in 2020 is, of course, reflective of a global drop in demand, and it is one of the major reasons why our country went into recession. But another positive story for us is that the non-oil sector grew by 1.69%. This is an indication that the diversification efforts that the economy has been pushing is actually also posting results. While the oil sector is declining, the non-oil sector is growing. We've seen overall economic activities reported strongly in the quarrying and minerals sector, in the ICT and telecommunications sector, in the cement industry, in broadcasting, in crop production, as well as in agriculture. On the other hand, there are some sectors that are still witnessing negative growth, and that's why I said the growth is still fragile. These sectors include oil refining, air transport, coal mining, crude petroleum production, as well as accommodation and food services. Just of note is that we had vigorously implemented the Economic Sustainability Plan, and we continue to implement the ESP, even as we are taking the principles and the tenets of the ESP into the new National Development Plan that will be completed, we hope, in the medium-term plan that we hope will be completed and launched in the month of April. I'd like to stop here at this time. Thank you very much for your kind attention. First of all, we are all concerned as an administration about the smuggling of rice into the Nigerian markets. And if this is allowed to continue, it will definitely distort the local production. Mr. President, in authorizing the opening of the borders, also directed an implementation committee that would be the same border drill committee that would be monitoring, opening the borders and monitoring the implementation of movement of goods in the borders. So this same group have now also been directed to ensure that this smuggling stops, because it has the potential to distort the local production of rice. We're expecting that the security agencies, the Nigerian Customs, the Nigerian Immigration, and some of the other stakeholders that form part of that border drill committee will heighten the level of activities in their work to be able to curtail the smuggling activities. And this question is actually related also to the question on inflation. Inflation is high at 16.7%. And we've seen inflation inching up gradually over the last couple of months. So the question that was raised on the issue of waivers, a reduction of import duties, the simple response is it's not effective. So when a bill is passed, first of all, we have to wait for the bill to be conveyed to the president, and then it's conveyed to us, and then we have conveyed it to the various agencies that have different roles to play, and then they review the bill to roll out guidelines and directions for implementation. And the Nigerian Customs Service has done that guidelines and have conveyed to all of the posts for implementation. But the point between that particular aspect and inflation is that the reason why we advocated and got approval for reduction of those import duty waivers is precisely because of inflation. When you look at the components that constitute inflation in our country, the largest contributor is food inflation. And food inflation also, if you decouple it, the largest contributor to food inflation is transport. It's the cost of transport. We were now looking at how do we reduce the cost of transport, because we can't give every Nigerian money in their pockets to pay for transport. We figured that one of the good ways to do it is to reduce the acquisition of mass transit vehicles, to reduce the acquisition cost of vehicles and tractors that are used for productive purposes like agriculture. So the reason why we reduce those duties is to reduce the cost of transportation. So once this implementation takes full effect, we're hoping that we'll be able to see more tractors coming into the country, more mass transit buses coming into the country, reducing the cost of transportation as a result, and also having an impact on food prices.